keyboardist extraordinaire, Dominique VANTOMME. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Perfectly.
Wonderful. Is with us today. Welcome to Make Weird Music.
Thanks, man. Thanks for inviting me.
No trouble at all. I have become a more recent admirer of your work. I'm not as versed in it as I would love to be, but what I've heard has been fantastic. But for the rest of the neophytes out here, could you give us a kind of a story of your life up to this point?
I will. Great. So you started to know me by Vegear, I guess. My last album. Yeah. You want to say something? Go ahead.
I was about to say, yeah, it's a great record, and we should probably throw out there for all of our other prog fans that Tony Levin is your bass player, and that's no small get. Good job on that.
Thanks. It was really an honor to work with him, in fact, and it was a pleasure to meet him. That was one of the highlights of my life, one of those. So it was really, everything went really fast. Went all through Leonardo, the man who is behind Moonjune Records. And that was cool. It was a few years ago. I wanted to see the band of Marcus Reuter, Stickman, with Tony and Pat on drums. So I went up there, and I played with a drummer from Holland, and so he said, "Well, come over. We can stay at my place, no problem." And we go together to see the show. Sounds like a perfect night to me. Except just when I hit the road, the guy, one of my best friends, the drummer, called me. He said, "Well, man, I have troubles with my wife, and it's getting really late. You can't stay." I said, "Damn, I wanted to see the show so badly." And I was already on the road. It was like a 3 hours drive up there. Not that, for us, it's quite far here in Belgium. So I was like, "Oh, damn." He said, "But Dominic, don't worry. I booked you a hotel." I said, "Hey, you don't have to do that." He said, well, no, it's on me." Drove up there. Seeing the show, meeting again Leonardo, and I already met Marcus one time, and I watched the show, was really into the show of Stickman, and then afterwards, well, they have huge fans of the Stickman show, so they all want to autographs and shaking hands with Tony, and so I didn't want to hang around to those guys. I was at the bar and said to Leonardo, "Well, when do you leave tomorrow? Maybe we can have a coffee before you leave." They needed to leave for Poland, so he said, "Well, yeah, let's grab a coffee. Where do you stay?" I said, "Well, I stay in that hotel." And by accidentally, they stayed at the same hotel. So we didn't only take coffee, but we took breakfast together. So when I get in the breakfast room, Tony was there and Marcus. So we had a little chat, and it was Tony who said, "Well, after this tour with Stickman, I'm going back to Belgium to prepare the next tour of King Crimson, who will start in 6 days after." And Pat Mastelotto, he came back to America, but Tony stayed in Antwerp. That's a big city in Belgium. So I said, "Well, cool, man. Maybe I can invite you to have like some Italian food, or show you the city around, and." Yeah, maybe so, but nothing concrete or something. So, and after that night, I was sending to Leonardo an email to say, "Well, I would love to just do like kind of a jam session together with Tony, just in a room, and play some music together, like for whatever, half an hour, just to feel what he can tell." Just create something out of nothing, no written music, just improvise. Right. And Leonardo said, "Well, maybe that's a good idea, man. We should let me check." But he's, those 6 days of Tony, that he wants to keep that kind of a holiday. Okay, vacation. Said, let's give it a try. But Leonardo is really fast, so like 2 or 3 hours after, he said, "Well, Tony checked out your stuff, your old recordings, and here is his email. Get in contact." So I started to mail Tony, and he asked, "Well, come over to the hotel where I'm staying, and let's have a chat." So we started talking. He said, "Well, a session. Let's do." He said, "It will be fun. Let's do an album." And I was like, "Okay, an album." No, kind of out of the blue. And 4 days after we were recording in the studio, I called in some other musicians, and I found a studio not far away from his hotel. So it was really like out of the blue like this, and it was it was so much fun. We improvised for 3 hours, and that's the album. I have some other stuff was not on the album, but we recorded together, and the nice thing was like he came into the studio. He's doing like a kind of a small sound check. He's putting on his headphones and testing out the bass, because it was not his bass. He only had his Chapman with it, and the bass, and he was like, cool. And I started also like noodling around on the Fender Rhodes, and he was like to the engineer, you know what? Press record. And the guy pressed record, and everything is on the album. So it was really wonderful. And we started out. I had some written music as kind of a guide to start from. And he was like, oh, let's try number 4. And then 6. Oh, 6 sounds good to me too. Let's try. And we just played and recorded. And it was through him that I put out the album with Leonardo, because he called Leonardo. He said, well, put it on the record. Let's bring it out. Let's make a deal. So that was really fun. I had those 3 hours were almost the best 3 hours of my life, I guess.
That's really cool.
I had a feel of like, be on higher ground just together with him, and also the other musicians, because you're a little bit nervous because his biography is quite long.
Right.
He's played with everybody you can imagine, but the first note we played, everybody was like equal in the same room and in the recording room. So no ego, no stress, just music. It was only music, and that was so much fun. I would love to redo this. I already did some recordings like that, but with him it was something really special. Something you can't put in words, or you can't touch it. It's just there in the room, and that was really nice.
That's really fantastic. I mean, he's got to be inspirational. And I was just sitting here thinking that wasn't his bass, because the first thing I thought when I heard the bass, I'm like, oh, that's Tony. That's his sound.
Yeah, he brought a lot of inspiration and creativity into those written songs or blueprints I had. So it was very. I had a lot of inspiration through him. So, and every musician in the room, I guess. So that was really fun.
That's fantastic.
Really good time.
Good deal. Tell me more about your background as a musician. You didn't just show up out of the clear blue sky and get to play with Tony Levin.
Yeah.
So how did you start out?
I started out when I was young with playing classical music and at the music school. Until I was kind of 18, 19 years old, I went to the conservatory, higher education here, and I started out with jazz. I came into jazz. But when I was young, I played also guitar, and I was playing in rock bands and just having a good time. I mostly made original music. I didn't play cover music on the guitar.
Right.
Afterwards, I went to music school. I had a few professors who teachers who were really nice and really great and I was really into jazz, like the acoustic jazz, like bebop and modern jazz. Not really electronic music. Now I'm more on the Fender Rhodes and playing with keyboards and everything. But at that time I was really into piano, just piano stuff. And that was like that was around my 20, 25. Between my 20 and 30, I was like playing acoustic jazz music. I put a few albums out with acoustic jazz. A quartet who I guess I had 3 albums with a very nice label in Belgium called DOMONIQUE, and that was kind of my acoustic period. So I came from classical to a little bit of rock music with my guitar, but then when I was keeping on the keyboard, the piano, I came into to acoustic jazz. I was really, really into acoustic jazz, and those 5, 6, 7 years, I forgot everything about rock and pop music. It's like a period I just cut, and like when you have like an audio file, just cut those 5 years with the rock and pop music. So when later on I came, because living from only jazz in Belgium was very, very hard, because it's not that big and we don't have a lot of clubs or anything to play each night, so you have to play some other kinds of music to earn some money to pay the bills. So I came again to pop and rock. So I was missing those 5-6 years. I needed to get everything in my head again from rock music. But then I started playing a lot of blues, and I did some tours in America with a very known blues artist here in Europe, maybe also in America, called Anna Popovic. She's a guitar player from Montenegro, and she lived in Holland, and we toured in America, but also a lot in Europe. So that was really fun. So I played a lot of blues afterwards, and then I guess around my 35, I already had my Fender Rhodes, but I played more the grand piano. I was like hitting the Fender Rhodes again and I wanted to change a bit the sounds, to use pedals like a guitar player, to modify a little bit the sound and have a rougher sound, or delays, or big reverbs, or even get more weird sounds of it. So I started to make some other music and with other musicians, not anymore with an upright bass, with electric bass. So I was already like going into the direction of Vegir a little bit, and I had my band called Root, ROOT, and that's I guess that was like the underground of Vegir that started out with Tony Levin. So that was already like growing, or I didn't know what direction. And it was at that period that I started to know Leonardo from Moonjun Records, because he heard I made a cover of one of the ABBA songs, Money, 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 and he loved it. He said, "Oh man, the Fender Rhodes distortion and ABBA and Fender Rhodes, that's wonderful." So we met a few times in New York. I played there some gigs, and we met, and so we were always in contact, but we never worked on an album together. And finally, with Vegir and Tony Levin, we ended up together and doing that album. So that was that's kind of a short thing where I started and ended now. So
when you were in your jazz period, who influenced you? Who were some of your favorites?
Well, one of the biggest was Keith Jarrett and Herbie Hancock, but I had some others who I still love to see and to hear, is like Kenny Barron. I love Kenny Barron. He's, oh man, each time he's playing, I'm like, wow, he's still there. And I had a good time when there was the first lockdown last year, because a lot of the big jazz cats were doing streaming concerts in Birdland and in the Village Vanguard or whatever. So I could see them. Normally I need to go to New York to see them, but now I could see him. He paid just a ticket like $20 or something, and I had the chance to see him. So for me it was really fun and good to see them. But yeah, Kenny Barron. I'm also a big fan because I was studying a little bit with him in New York. It's Kenny Werner. I don't know if you heard about it. Kenny Werner.
I have not. No.
No. We have a very famous musician here in Belgium who died a few years ago, called Toet Stielemans. That was a harp player, mondharmonica, and he played the last few years with him. So, the last few years, the last 10 years or something. So, when he was over in Belgium, I took some private lessons with him, and then he asked me to come over to New York. So, but I guess that's maybe 20 years ago. So that's already a long time ago. But him, and also one of my favorites who's still alive now is Fred Hirsch, that I really love. His touch of the piano, the way he's playing. When he's over here in Belgium or just in Europe, I'm trying to see him if he's playing a solo concert or in trio, whatever he's doing. I try to see him. So that's kind of my influences. So
nice. How do you define your style? What's the DOMONIQUE style?
That's a difficult one. That's my style. Well, I like, in fact, I like also a lot of the tradition in jazz, which I really respect and I really love to listen to. But I'm not really a traditional player. I'm more like sometimes I love also avant-garde, like playing really with sounds, not even in keys or in modes, but then in just reacting on sounds I'm playing. So my style, I think it's just a little bit to make a resume is like I think I have a lot of influences out of the funk music, like Herbie Hancock, his funky period, and that mixed with some contemporary players, not even piano players, but mixed by Jan Garbarek or something, or even John Zorn, his style or approach to music, and I think that's when you filter it down, something way down there, that's me.
I thought it was me for a minute. I get that a lot here. Oh, move on, people. Go ahead. We're fine.
Yeah. So I think that's where I found my style a little bit, and I love to play with people who that I also have a personal relationship to it, like kind of a friendship or friends of mine, musicians, friends, not only just a musician that you just met. That was in fact the thing with Tony Levin, but it was for me also very important to have a chat before with him, like half a week before, and feel that everything is on the right place, and he's just a wonderful person. So that's very important to me when I play music, especially when it's not really written music, when you have to react to each other, and it's not that it's free jazz, but just like respond to each other with a kind of a groove or a flavor or just how you call it,
kind of a call and response type thing.
Musical conversation, just like
right. A lot of people don't recognize the fact that one of the most important aspects of being in a band is listening. You're not just up there playing. You have to listen to what the other person is doing.
Definitely, and I love to listen to people. So that's one of my good things. When I'm in a band, I'm not a piano player who is all over the place. Sometimes you can have that. A few years ago, I saw Richie Beirach, and he's living in Germany. He was playing a gig here and close to my place, and he was all over the place, which I love because he can do that, being all over the place. He's telling useful things and musical stuff. So, but I'm not that kind of piano player. I'm like, you can hear and feel me, but I'm not really up front. So that's what I love to be there, somewhere in the corner, and just making music with the other people and giving a lot of musical place in a band to the other musicians. So, but that's also it was a long journey to find people to work with, like with the same kind of idea that I had, or same kind of taste of music that I have, to just respond and having a lot of place musically and so on and so on. So
nice. You actually took the words out of my mouth in a manner of speaking, because when I listen to you play, that's just what I was thinking. You're not on top of the mix all the time. You blend in nicely and let other people do what they do, and then you come back again.
Yeah.
And go from there.
That's what I like. When I have when it's my moment, I will take my moment. That's for sure. But I love to listen to, even when we're playing live. Sometimes with my band, I sometimes get away of the keyboard and let the guitar, drums, and electric bass play together, just in trio, and then I will join them after a few minutes or whatever. It's the moment or the right time. But I love like just being in the audience, but I'm just on the side of the stage, and that. I like that. It's like kind of if you're in a mixing room and you're just like muting that voice or this instrument. So that's what I like. The first time I saw this was with Ahmad Jamal when he was playing in trio.
Okay.
Sometimes he's standing up and he walks around on the stage or whatever he's playing. He let the upright bass player or the guitar player just play together. And when I saw him when I was like 18 or 19 years old, and it's always stayed in my head, I was like, wow, that's a nice thing. If you can do that, you're really appreciating your other musicians, and that's good.
Nice. When I listened to Root, I heard soundscapes almost. I was almost picturing you were playing a soundtrack for a film that hadn't been made yet. Do you see images when you play at times, or what's your methodology?
No, you hit it right now. That's like bang. That's like 10.
Kind of proud of myself.
No, that's right. And I also love film music, film scoring, but I never had the chance to do it. I had a few months ago was an album released with a friend of mine who is more like into minimalistic piano. I was playing just a very just only small things on the piano. He's playing electric things. The band is called Bosgaard. That's a really Flemish name, so difficult. But and when we play live, we play with images. So we're going to do a small tour next year with a kind of a Belgian man, an old guy who's making movies, and we're going to put live music on it, but live improvised music. So, but when I'm writing or when I'm recording Root, the album of Root, we have two albums. For me, it's not really clearly what I'm seeing, but I'm feeling or it's more an abstract thing, but I'm thinking in images. So that's because I spoke to my wife yesterday. I said I have a new idea for my next. I want to do a solo album on the Fender Rhodes, only on the Fender Rhodes solo album with some small other stuff with it. But I wanted to do like 10 songs together with 10 images that I will take and in black and white, because I love black and white. So.
That's an interesting idea. I'm kind of looking forward to hearing that myself.
I need to figure out, I want to have like 3 days away from the house and renting a small thing and just record there 3 days and taking those pictures. And when I see the picture, I will improvise with it or make a song with it. So that's that's one of my new albums. But still, I need to record it. So.
Well, that's a good thing. Are you thinking more like a film noir, or are you thinking just still photos like an Ansel Adams, black and white type thing?
For that thing, I want to do like still photos, just like black and white. And I'm playing because I'm a little bit into photography, and I'm like want to do like the contrast very hard. I like hard, the white and the black really hard, So kind of things, and not. I don't want to take a picture of a bird or something, just abstract things, old buildings, something really close, some things you have to, everybody can imagine something else with it, his own story, and I would tell my own story with the music, try to translate that in music. So that's kind of my idea. I want to put on the next album. I hope by the end of the year. I need to record it.
Excellent. That does sound fascinating. I'm looking forward to that one. You surprised us, your fellow listeners out here, when you mentioned that you were having some issues with your hearing, which is basically a nightmare for any musician. Could you walk us through what's going on?
Yeah, sure. Well, a month and a half ago, I woke up. In fact, that day I wanted to go to a nice jazz concert. Here was a jazz festival close to my town. I wanted to see Gonzalo Rubalcaba, who was playing in duo, and some other musicians on the festival. I woke up in the morning and go to the bedroom, want to take a shower, and my left ear was kind of like a towel who was on top of it, like everything was damped, and it was like, damn, I didn't feel sick or something. It was like strange. So in the next few days afterwards, I was going out. I was going to see some doctors, just the doctor here close to my house, and then he said, well, maybe you should go to the hospital and do some tests, some hearing tests. And there they could see that I had a drop of minus 50 dB on the left side, so in the lower area. So all kind of bass stuff didn't came in really properly on my left side. So literally I freaked out. I was like, damn, what's going on? Because I never had that in my life. Never. My ears were still working properly, and I was really, it didn't feel really right. It was not that much fun. So now I can laugh.
I
Now
can
I can
imagine.
laugh about it. But at that moment, it was really, because it was really abstract. And also a few days after, I have a son of 17 years old who is now going into music, and he has his own trio and doing some musical stuff also on the piano. I have a small daughter of 3 years old, and after day
Oh, goodness.
5, she was walking around at the house, and she wanted to ask me something, and at that moment I heard a second voice in my left ear. A second voice. So when somebody speaks, they're on top of it, I hear another frequency at the same time everybody's speaking. Even when I speak now, I can hear it. With headphones, a little bit less. And with a kind of a delay and all kind of, it was really distorted. And that's what that's what I was most afraid of. Like, the drop was okay, but it didn't change the sound of me. It was just less loud in the left ear, but with a different sound on top. That was really hard to play music and it was so hard with instruments like guitar and piano, and I'm playing piano, so everything I played in the medium register of the piano, not the low end or the high notes. Everything on the high notes is out of tune, and in the middle was really distorted, like a bad connection of a phone or a mic or something. So we started out looking. I did some therapy. I did the high pressure room for 10 days, and then some medical stuff. And all the doctors said, well, if we couldn't repair it between the first 72 hours, everything will be lost. And well, it's now 1 month and a half. So they said, well, it won't come back, your hearing. So they talked about me. They talked with me about hearing aid. So I went to see somebody who will do that to me. But I still didn't do the hearing aid. So I think in a few weeks I will start with this. And so all the traditional medical stuff, I ended up after 1 month I saw like 3-4 doctors. And they said, well, no, it won't come back. So that was really hard to me, because I was still hoping, and I'm still positive. Right. And so I ended up with them, and I started with somebody who is in Chinese medical healing. Acupuncture. Did I say that in English? Acupuncture in America?
We call it acupuncture, but yes, I know what
so
you mean.
So today I had my second session of... and because they don't look only at the region of the ear, they're looking at the whole body, what's wrong with the whole body, and so that's I must say that it feels good to me with the thing. So I believe in it, because I'm 49 years old, and I always went to the traditional medical stuff, to the doctor, always. But now I changed, and I didn't change for forever, but I believe in it. But it was really different, the approach of the body and everything, and the healing process. But they promise me that it will help. They don't tell it that it will come back, but it will be better than it is now. So the good thing is that I never stopped playing, and after like 1 month, the distorted sound, the second voice in my left ear is less now. I can function quite good. I don't feel depressed at all. It's just the drop in the lower area. So I don't have the stereo, how you call it, stereo feel anymore. It's more on the right side. So, but it's okay. It's very hard, because in the beginning was like, damn, do I need to stop playing music or piano, and do I need to play another instrument or something? Because everything in the low was right, like drums or upright bass or electric bass, that's cool to me. But everything in the middle, in the mid range of equalizing the mid range, that was distorted. But now the distortion is still there, but it's not dominant anymore. It's really somewhere in the back. So my brain has already adapted to the new sound. So I hope that maybe it will go away. We'll never know.
Do we know what caused the issue in the first place?
No, it could be like a bacteria, maybe, or some kind of a little like a little blood thing who was stuck in the ear. Maybe only 10 to 15% all around the world they can tell what the cause would be, but in my cousin they couldn't find anything. So I also had some scans to see that I don't have a tumor or something, but that was all fine. So that's the hard thing. That's what the doctor said. It's really hard to say what the cause was about your hearing loss. So because that's strange also, because I can do anything to myself to help the process to getting better. So you just have to wait and do some therapy. But hey, I still can play music, and I'm happy. And the beginning was really hard because I heard everything out of key, out of tune. But now it's getting better. And last week I did a summer camp teaching in Brussels with young guys. All week I was afraid because I didn't teach for a few months, and everything was fine. I went early to bed at night because 8 hours a day hearing the piano was quite heavy, and I was really tired afterwards. But at the end of the week, I was still rocking. I was maybe the last one at the bar. So no,
that's a good thing.
I'm feeling quite okay. I'm really positive about it, and a lot of people told me because they had the same hearing loss, if you stay positive, that's already half of the healing process. So I try to stay positive. So 90% of the time,
sounds like you're on that road,
kicking my ears, kicking the ass of my ears.
It sounds like you're adjusting and moving forward. Speaking of that, what's down the road for you musically?
Well, I already I told you about my solo project, my solo album. I want to do with those images. That's something I need to figure out by myself. But then something who has already recorded last year with Lorenzo Feliciati, the Italian bass player, who lived here for a few years in Brussels. So we met, we started out playing together, and then all of a sudden Corona came up, we couldn't play anymore, we had some gigs, but everything was cancelled. And we were like, you know what, I'm at the house, you're at the house, let's do an album. Let's record something. Well, we already had a plan before the virus hit us. So and we had plenty of time, so we did some online recording together, and then we invited some guests like Kung Fu, who is like a trumpet player from who was born in Saigon but lives now, I guess he lives in Seattle or something. And he's one of the trumpet players who was with the Pat Metheny band and the quartet. Great trumpet player. And Lorenzo already worked with him for a few albums. He said, and I love trumpet. I said, well, that's a good plan. And it's a kind of an open music thing. I was because there's an album of who's called Highly Risked of Dave Douglas, who is I guess I forgot Margiliano on drums, but that's already an album of 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. So I was always like, damn, that's a nice sound of trumpet. I wanted to go in that kind of thing. So we started out working together, and he recorded also some songs with us, the trumpet player. And then there's that's kind of one song who's with a DJ, an Italian guy on it, The Connection of Lorenzo. So that album will come out, I guess, in, I hope, the latest October. So
okay. Well, you're pushing forward nicely.
Sorry?
I said you're pushing forward nicely. Things are progressing.
Yeah. And it's we one second, I need to see. Oh, we're on a label called Subcontinental Records. Maybe you heard about it. I don't know if it's a label from India. In fact, they were really interested in it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, please don't shop anything else with the album. Don't go anything else. Please stay with us, because I always also send it to Leonardo or to what's the other label in you know, The Naked Truth with Lorenzo. They on.
I've heard of it. I haven't heard a lot from them, but I've heard the name.
It's a very nice label in who is based in London, and but they did. But we never went there. It was just Subcontinental Records from India who said we signed directly the deal, so let's do it. So. But then they had a big corona and virus problems in India around April or May, so everything is moved backwards for the release. So I guess maybe they're now the master, the layout, everything is done. They just they need to press the CD. So I guess in September, end of September, beginning October, we'll release the album. So I keep you posted.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Dominic, I can't thank you enough for your time.
Hey.
I wish you all the luck in the world for everything you're having to handle. And
thanks for inviting me. Thanks for inviting me. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Really.
Same here. We'll make sure we get everybody connected with your social media and your website, and we hope to talk to you again soon. I'm looking forward to seeing you in America.
Thanks. Yeah, the same, man. Thanks.
Take care,
man. Ciao.